What if I told you there were strategies to help balance your hormones, increase your longevity, as well as boost your energy with some unbelievable things that my wife and I are going to share with you in this video. My wife here, Erica Jones, is been a really incredible support for me to help get this message out. She's been an expert in longevity and health and wellness. We've run our business together, helping thousands of patients understand how they can maximize their health, increase their performance, as well as balance their hormones. We've done how many hormone panels in the last 15 years?
A lot. We have 4 kids, and so I think for a while there, I felt like I was doing one a year, like after every baby, to just check, see where things are. And I think hormones are a really interesting topic for women and men, but especially for women, because there's so many factors that influence where our hormones are. We have a lot of ebbs and flows, and then we have in our 40s and 50s these changes of going through perimenopause and menopause that I am just now starting to research and learn about. Like, no one is talking about this, and so it's just kind of a little bit like a roller coaster, whereas men also go through hormonal transitions, but you guys are blessed with more steady levels.
But andropause is real. Like, men go through a form of menopause, and testosterone decreases, and there's all these challenges that happen as well. But the benefits of normalizing hormones, that you have a healthy libido, which I know you know that I have a healthy libido. You can have an increase in energy. There's amazing brain function, memory that happens with an increase in healthy hormones. For women and men, your hair, skin, nails, they stay young much longer. And when you want to tap into reversing those biological clocks within the body, where you're, say, turning 50 years old or 60 years old, but your biological age is 45 or 35 years old, that it cannot be done unless we balance hormones, unless we get to a place where your hormone regulation is maximized. And so why don't you talk about some of the best ways that we can normalize hormones naturally? What are some of the best ways that impact not just men, but also women?
Yeah, I think what would be fun is if we identify some of the hormone killers, if you will, some of the hormone disrupting behaviors and challenges, because I think
let's talk about that.
People will be able to see themselves in that more so than the positives. So one of the primary things that I see regularly, I think we're very used to this in our society, is people dealing with very disrupted sleep. Disrupted sleep has become so normalized in this society, waking up with low energy, no energy, going to bed at 11, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock a.m., scrolling on your phone as a bedtime routine and a nighttime ritual, binge watching Netflix all night long. Like, all of these things have become so normalized. And because we live in America, where hustle culture is dominant, people also get a lot of significance and confidence boosting, if you will, out of hustling into the night. They're working on their computers, they're, beating their chest to their colleagues about...
Tell them about when you were working for one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world. Look at the 180 that you've done. Now you're all into natural health. But you were working for one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, and you said that people would wake up. Would they not wake up in the night just to email the boss or whatever to make it look like they were still working? Is that true?
It's a hustle. It was a hustle culture. So the harder you work, or at least the more you can make people perceive that you are working harder, the more brownie points and kudos that you get. So it was a running joke in the companies, not just mine, it was pharma culture in general, of people just talking about waking up to hit send on the 3 and 4 a.m. emails, so their boss would be like, oh, you're up late at night working hard. Like, maybe it was just my company, I don't know, but I talked to other reps, and it was kind of like a running joke. So our digitally driven society, where we're on our smartphones all of the time, we're in front of screens all of the time, we're battling this hustle culture that makes us feel like we need to be productive and doing something on our screens all of the time. All this stuff is not only is it creating a lot of cortisol in our bodies, that is the body's stress hormone.
It does.
It's also creating a frenetic brain, which I have noticed. I don't know if you've noticed this before, but in the past, when I've gotten into, excess digital use, where I'm like bouncing from email to Slack to social media to this to that, it's like it almost is like this ping pong effect where you get into this rhythm, and it's like addictive because you're getting all these dopamine hits. So our culture is driven by that now. And so what people don't realize is that their bedtime routine, their ritual of lying in the bed and scrolling on their phone or shopping on Amazon or whatever it is, all that stuff is disrupting the sleep, and it's become normalized, and that's why we have a tired society. Most people actually recently researched this because of the book that we're working on now around wellness secrets for the top performers in the world. And it was telling how the average American feels exhausted 4 hours out of the day. They're feeling tired. Like, that's normal to people. And people will come to us, they'll look at our family and say, you have 4 kids. Like, I know you guys are exhausted, like the slap on the back kind of thing. And I'm like, no, actually I'm not, because I'm prioritizing my health and well-being, and it takes a lot of discipline to do that. But sleep is the primary disruptor for people around hormone imbalance.
Oh my gosh, with a man that doesn't get a good sleep, and 63%, by the way, 63% of people watching right now get less than 6 hours of sleep a night. Now, if you're a man that gets less than 6 hours of sleep a night, what it does is it massively drops testosterone. And this is where, like, I've read all these books on testosterone. Like, one of the first things that it says, if you want to become more manly and feel like a man again, get good sleep. Like get, that deep rejuvenating sleep. And that's why we prioritize sleep. And that's why we have a nighttime routine, right? So one of the big challenges, yes, you said, is like cell phones, what you're doing at night, big no-no. But what should we be doing to get good sleeps at night to help us regulate hormones, which, by the way, the toxic form of estrogen in the body that forms, that's carcinogenic, it gets recycled out of the body when you get good sleeps. When you don't get good sleeps, it bioaccumulates in the body. It causes more issues. It can be more oncogenic in respect to promoting cancer and other things as well.
Yes, and your brain actually does a lot of healing and repairing at night as well for sleep. And so people that are just wondering what they can do to circumvent cognitive decline as they age, sleep is a huge factor in that. So what do you do instead of scrolling your phone and being on your screen at night? Well, we're huge proponents of the wind down routine. And so for us as a family, we just have a family culture where we're off of screens around 8 o'clock every night. Like, we just disengage. And so you have to find what works for you and adopt practices that work for you. But I love a candlelit bath and a good book. I love to sauna with you. We do that a few nights a week. Just anything that helps you to decompress from the day. I like to journal. I like to write. I like to be outside. We go for walks after dinner. That's really awesome. We like to just catch up and talk at the end of the day. The screens oftentimes are just even competing with relationships. So if I'm just like sitting there in my phone, that's time that I'm not connecting with the people in my own home. So we have an entire article on our site over at Elevase where it talks about how you can develop a great bedtime routine. I think the article's called, Is Your Bedtime Routine Destroying Your Sleep? We can link it in the show notes, but it's really adopting habits that you love, that you can look forward to, that pull you away from the screens and do something that is nourishing and rejuvenating for your body.
Wow, yeah. So number one, right, like get good sleep. That is primary to hormone optimization. Number two is, your diet and getting healthy fats, not rancid fats, not vegetable oil, not trans fats, not fats that are essentially high omega-6 inflammatory alpha-linoleic acid fats. We're talking about like healthy omega-3s. We're talking about healthy monounsaturated fats. We're talking about healthy polyunsaturated fats. We're talking about... You
have to give examples of these because some people are going to be like, what are those?
Yeah. So like polyunsaturated fat, you've got different like, omega-3 and omega-6 are those types of fats that break down. And so omega-3s, you've got alpha-linoleic acid, ALA, that's like found in chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds, walnuts. ALA is really good for you. Then you've got DHA, docosahexaenoic acid, EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid. DHA is found in like healthy fish, algae. It's found in grass-fed meats. It's found in, obviously you could take supplements that have high levels of DHA. And then EPA is found in a lot of those same foods as well. So when you're, say, consuming a conventional butter versus grass-fed butter, you're going to get more EPA and DHA in the grass-fed butter, along with conjugated linoleic acid, CLA, which is a very important fat to be consuming. That is found again in the grass-fed version of the butter versus the conventional butter, right? And so that's where you want to be consuming more natural, the way it has been created in the world, versus the way that man has kind of like manipulated animals to develop. So, and then you've got all these like really healthy plant oils. Vegetable oil is not from vegetables. It's from seeds, and it's from genetically modified organisms that damage your body and create major issues. Now, there are people that are coming out and being like, I think Sarah Ballantyne or whatever is like, vegetable oil is great. I'm like, how much money did the vegetable oil industry give you to say that, right? Like, and I get like some people that are over the top with omega-3s. Like I've done this where I pre and post my labs on my fatty acid ratio in my body. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I just overshot my omega-3s. Now I'm way too heavy in omega-3s versus omega-6, which I was like, okay, well, let me eat, some skin on the chicken, which is very high in omega-6, or let me consume some of these foods that are higher in omega-6. So the omega-6 and omega-3 are both healthy, right? But we need to get those, from the various sources that are more natural. But plant-based oils, like from olive oil. Oh my gosh, olive oil is unbelievable for women to prevent breast cancer. The polyphenol levels in olive oil can be very, very high. And you want to get fresh organic olive oil, fresh pressed extra virgin olive oil. And man, it's one of the top longevity oils, right? You all of these longevity experts are taking a shot of 1 or 2 ounces a day of olive oil. And, I was just in one of the practices that I've coached and trained, and they have like just, fresh pressed high oleic concentrated olive oil. And man, it's something that they get everyone on. And then you've got avocado oil, right? So all of these different oils, like there's so many different oils. MCT oil is really good with the saturated fats. Coconut oil can be really healthy as well. All of these fats are the building blocks of hormones. And oftentimes we're not getting enough fat, and we're also not getting, if we're getting enough fat, we're not getting the right types of fats and the right ratios. So the best way to go about consuming healthy fat from a dietary perspective to maximize hormone optimization for your body to live longer and healthier is just to ask yourself, am I getting enough variety? Am I eating the rainbow of foods? Am I consuming healthy, fresh, organic oils that are vegetable, like real vegetables, like olives and things of that nature? Am I consuming healthy, fresh caught fish, right? Versus farm-raised fish or cattle lot, cows. Like those are unhealthy fats.
It's really important that you brought up just the animals in general, because when we talk about fat, I think of animal protein and fat as well. So anything that's coming from animals, people need to understand that when we consume the fat or the protein from an animal, we're also getting all of the hormones and everything that animal was injected with, we're also consuming that.
Right.
So if they are injecting, like say in a conventional cow, a growth hormone is being injected.
Which is what they're injecting, and they're injecting estrogen, they're injecting all of these different things.
Right. So then we're going and consuming that food, and then that is dysregulating our hormones as well. So this is why some people are like, oh, why are people so on their soapbox about organic food and it doesn't really matter and all of these things? Well, when you buy organic food, just by regulation, those animals cannot be injected with hormones. They cannot be injected with antibiotics. Antibiotics is another hormone disruptor because you take these things in, it destroys all the gut bacteria. Your gut is an information center for the hormones and how they operate and work in the body. So as we said in a previous video, food is like data. It's like information you're putting in the body. So if the data that you're putting in is like all scrambled and jacked up, then you're going to be jacking up your own biology and chemistry. And so that's why organic, hormone-free at the minimum, all organic is hormone-free. But if you can't do organic, at least do hormone-free to bypass those extra hormones in your food.
That is huge. And we could talk a lot about, hormones. One last thing I will say is that you typically want to get 35 grams of fiber in your diet. The average American's getting like 5 or 10 grams of fiber. Fiber actually helps to cycle out like unhealthy hormones.
Excess hormone,
in your body. And so what I would recommend is just looking. Look, if you're on a carnivore diet, right, you can still get a lot of healthy fiber through the fruit that you're consuming. And
I was like, I thought all they eat was meat.
Yeah, no, a lot of the people in the carnivore diet, they also eat like berries and fruit. And,
okay, you're going to have to eat heaps of berries for 35 grams.
Yeah, no, but I mean, there's a lot of, avocado, for instance, has like 10 grams of fiber in it, right? Like it has so much fiber in it. But if you're somebody that is just on, conventional diet, typically you're not getting the type of fiber that you need. So you really need to be getting fiber. The best way to do that is through berries, through vegetables, through leafy greens, through fruits. So that is some of the stuff that we want to talk about from a dietary perspective to help to balance out hormones. And one last thing I'll also say about just like packaging of foods is the plasticizers and the plastics and the xenoestrogens in the plastic that massively messes up with your hormones. And we're consuming right now in conventional society, probably not you and I, and hopefully not you listening, but if you're eating processed foods, you're probably getting this, is a credit card worth of plastic every single week. A credit card worth of plastic every single week is what you're consuming, which is absolutely crazy, right? And that has implications physiologically in your body. Now, we take products that actually help to get rid of plastic out of our body, like increasing glutathione levels. We have some binders that we typically use that help to flush the body, right? That are pretty powerful. But just one of the biggest hormone dysregulating things that people are consuming right now are plastics. And we have got to figure, and I just think about you've got, say, almond butter container and you're scraping the side with your knife to get the rest of it. And you're like, how many microparticles of plastic are you scraping along the side of the container, right? You've got food that is in this plastic packaging that you then take out, and then you see some people licking the plastic, the food off of the plastic, right? We see this at restaurants, at high-end restaurants, where they're taking, and this happened. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but we were at a resort that was a longevity resort, and you and I looked in the freezer, and what were they doing? They had all of these vegetables in plastic bags with liquid and different things they were trying to infuse into the vegetables. But I'm like, dude, you're putting it in plastic bags. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think this is one that can feel really overwhelming for people because we're so inundated with plastic everywhere. And so with wellness, I like to take an approach of I am going to focus and be intentional on the things I can do something about. So if I am grocery shopping and they are packaging the meat and everything is in plastic, there's not much I can do about that. But what I can do is when I get home, I'm not going to be cutting my food on a plastic cutting board. I'm not going to be storing my food in plastic containers. I'm not going to be wrapping my food in plastic wrap. I'm going to be taking the precautions that I know that I can once I get home, and then kind of leave the rest of it up to whoever is dealing with all of that. Because I know my lifestyle and your lifestyle, the way that we live, we're living to the greatest possible level that we can with the information that we have right now for health and wellness. So there's a piece of this where the person has to be settled in a level of peace around that, because I have seen, and you have seen this too, where people get so spun up about all of these things outside of our control, whether it's microplastics or toxins or whatever, and they literally live their life in this fight or flight state. They're causing stress for themselves, everyone around them. They're not fun to be around.
You know what? Sometimes I fall into that, and you call me out on it, because it is like, it is when you learn more and more about this stuff, the more you realize, like, oh my gosh, now I used to be way worse at this. And you said to me, Isaac, calm all the way down. Calm all the way down. And I did, right? But I honestly think that the more you learn about health and wellness, the more you can literally create cortisol spikes because you're so stressed out about like the food that you're eating at a restaurant. You have to get to a place where you're like, okay, I'm eating out. It's going to be great. I'm not going to worry about the plastic they may be using in the kitchen.
Or the Teflon that they're using to cook like, look, I'm not going to spend my entire life like going to eat at Chipotle because that's the only place I'm going to go eat, because they don't cook with seed oils. Like, life is meant to be enjoyed and loved and lived and experienced with the people around you. So if you're someone that's like, okay, what can I do about plastic? Hey, we've got an article about that. We wrote some great content about how to rid your kitchen of plastic. So go check that out as a first step, but don't send yourself into a tizzy worrying all day and night about it.
This has been really good. And hopefully these tips have really helped you understand how you can optimize hormones. If you've loved this, please share it with your friends, your family members. This is life-saving information. And if you wouldn't mind, we'd love for you to subscribe to this channel. Go ahead, click that bell button after you subscribe so that any videos that come out, you're notified on. So thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it.